All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Readers. Been far too long since I've made one of these. I do apologize. Bad combination of just getting really sick and busy at work. But I'm going to make a quick video here a little later than normal. Again, just kind of busy day at work. So I don't know if I'll do real chapters or not, but I at least want to talk about a few stocks for sure. All right. Before I actually talk about tickers, I want to talk about the indices. All right. And look, this looks great. It is, like the words in my head are a little hard to like, when I see back-to-back gap ups on NASDAQ, when I see back-to-back gap ups on the S&P 500, I don't know what the Dow Jones looked like actually. Boom, same thing, back-to-back gap ups. When I see that across all three, I think I expected a little bit better. You know, when I look at BBAI, this is actually a little bit on the flat side, right? When I look at Rigotti, this is a little bit on the flat side, right? When we're looking at like the normal stocks, SoundHound, it's, you know, there's something that feels off. Now, we're going to talk about SOFI today. And SOFI basically is giving us three back-to-back gap ups, right? So in some places, it is for sure there. But I think it bothers me just a little bit that as I'm showing an AI ticker that normally runs, as I'm showing a quantum ticker that normally runs, I think QBTS had a decent day, but yeah, it didn't even finish as high as it did. I'm a little surprised that these tech heavier stocks and really in general everything isn't giving me that oomph that I would expect on a back-to-back gap up, all right? Now, we are a couple days away from FOMC. Sorry, that was a mouthful right there, right? So Powell is about to get on the microphone, do his thing. You know, maybe there's just a little anticipation for that. But again, when the index ocean is calm, things should be better. But, you know, I don't want to necessarily say they're not good, right? They're obviously good, but they're not as great as I think that should have been right there, right? So I at least wanted to start with there. From here, I'm going to give you some opening thoughts, and then I'll get into the thoughts right there, right? But open is a must-watch tomorrow, all right? This is a very, very textbook doji, basically right on a very important line, at the bare minimum, right over this last cluster of moving averages, and obviously those last two are down there, right? So are we gonna try to, you know, break all five and fly? This thing definitely knows how to break all five and fly, and it knows how to bounce on moving averages, right? So let's see what tomorrow brings, but must watch, all right? Newegg was a little bit of an interesting mover today. I talked about this one on Friday, actually, in the Discord room, and today went from really, really ugly to pretty interesting, actually, all right? Again, you can see there are four different kinds of candles, right? There's green and red filled in and green and red outline, right? I don't mind this candle today. It's actually not that bad because, like, you know, we'll get into those details shortly, but today wasn't a horrible day, all right? Today, I would almost classify it as a doji, and I'll give you my thoughts on that, but these aren't bad lower indicators, just volume's a little bit on the missing side. Hopefully it's not pump and dump, right? We'll talk about that shortly, but even this little outlier aside, it's still relatively on the growing side. We just need more if it's going to do the more we want, right? And then I kind of flashed it already. Hey, SOFI is now a must watch. This is a wildly critical candle, all right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this thing right at 30, all right? Just let me just do this real quick. All right, $29.99, that's fine. There is no other candle that is over this $29.99 line except for today's doji that we know is actually a penny over because it closed at 30, right? So this is an all-time highs doji. This is an important one right here, right? So what I was upset that nothing else was mimicking, this is starting to mimic, right? And throw in a little, and again, I am very optimistic. I think Powell's going to do the thing that's going to make the market happy. You know, rates will get lowered. There's still thoughts about more. I think what I really want, look, there's two things we need. The bare minimum, the man needs to cut. If he does not cut, I don't think good things will happen. What he needs to do is signal that bigger cuts are coming. And more than anything, not just that, they're coming soon. All right, if he can signal bigger cuts and soon, that is where things will start to go next level. All right, so kind of a mixed bag on an index review, opening thoughts on those tickers, and then some FOMC stuff. Did I say FMOC? It's FOMC. Wow, dyslexic. Sorry, long day at work. Cool. But all that said, before we do go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. We've got a couple more up here. I think one's in the 14s. Yeah, right. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, give me your time. Oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So let's get into it. And look, I think I'm just going to talk about all of them quickly because I at least wanted to get something out there because, again, I haven't done this in so long, and I do apologize. I miss you all. I really do, all right? So Open has done a really good job of bouncing on the 20, all right? Clearly, it didn't happen this last go, all right? And instead of a crazy, the 50 came into play, all right? The 50 caught us, and you can clearly see it. This is a brand new, very strong line, right? So I right now am basically thinking this. When the 20 was a brand new and strong line, it was able to catch and give us a real nice bounce, all right? I'm going to use the word hoping, right? Because I have no idea if it is or isn't tomorrow, right? But I am now hoping the same thing's going to happen with the 50. The 50 is going to give us a good bounce. Hopefully, it'll take us up maybe to the next little tranche, and we'll start talking about where, you know, what to expect if this bounce goes. I just don't know if it's going to do a 1 and then none, right? So, you know, I'm just taking cues from the last line and trying to use it for this line, right? But the 50 is the first of the 3 very strong lines. It is a very difficult line to break up, and it should be a difficult line to lose down, right? So far it's doing the job. And man, listen, right? I'm a line guy, right? Like my trading is break a line, lose a line, over a line, under a line, you know, green line, red line. I'm lines, right? The only candle I ever care about, I don't care about wedges, I don't care about cup and shoulder, head and shoulder, cup and handle, whatever, all that stuff, right? I respect the doji. And when you've got a look in the box over there. In a 7, today was not a holiday, today was a normal trading day. In 7 full hours of trading, we opened and closed 1 penny different. We ran all the way up here to like 8 something, almost 850. We fell all the way down here to like 7 something. We come back and only move a full penny in a 7-hour day. This is crazy uncertainty. People weren't sure if we should fly and go or if we should come back down to reality, right? And that's basically what we're going to hopefully answer tomorrow. Either this is coming down to 760, I'm clicking at 765 right now, or we're running to 990. Because green, red, green, red. This is a relatively fast channel. It's a tight channel, right? There are other channels like the next, well, I guess they're all actually relatively the same sized. Okay, that's not too bad. But yeah, it's either going to be a fast move to like, let's call it 8. Okay, I like that. It's either coming to 890 or it's coming to 760. That's the 1-2 for tomorrow. Truth be told, open can basically come as low as 7. I'm actually clicking at 6.8 and 698. But we can basically come as low as 7 and still believe the 50 moving average is holding it. Because even as you look right here, we actually came, but like we bounced, we couldn't take off, we kind of come back and then we go. We bounce, I don't know if we're not going to take off, come back and go. That would be literally the same playbook as this right here. Or like I said, what I'm hoping for is we go, right? We go to that 890 and then we go to the next line. And then after that's the next line, right? I'm not too sure. I don't think we're going to go over this 14 thing. That's a very, very easy thing to say. Like if we do, we'll start to react it, but I'm not going to draw more lines, okay? what I'm basically wondering is if we're going to come to this 1160. I think that's kind of my expectation if we go up. All right. So after this 980, right? I really do believe we would go a fast move there. All right. And it's almost the same inverse down. If we come and we lose that 7, it would be a fast fall to that 630. And that's basically another 10% fall right there. Right. So this is gonna, like, I think FOMC direction will probably play everything out, right? But there's really good lower indicators. Our MACD is actually in the positive. We're still red over green, but a good day tomorrow would take us up. This has been very tight, and it is incredibly low, right? I thought it might come a little bit lower to this 22. I'll just delete that line real quick, but 38 is low. Give me a little bit of volume, and that's what it'll do. Again, this was over a billion, now down to below 90%, trying to push 100, right? Like, we got to get this thing back up to like 400, 500 million shares in a day. That's for sure going to be needed. But that doji alone makes it a must watch tomorrow, all right? So from there, we're going to come into Newegg. And look, this is an interesting candle because though it's red, though obviously we closed up here and then closed right here, today, actually, like, look in the box over there. We opened down here at 61, and then we close all the way up here at this 66.33. Excuse me. It's not quite a 10% move, but I mean that's almost a $5 move. That's almost, more people made almost 10% than they did lose this number right here, right? So, this is a good red candle. It's why we separate, like, this red candle opens up here at 47 and then closes down here at 44. That's a bad day. This is, yeah, it's a red candle, but it's actually kind of a good day, right? So I'm generally a fan of these candles. Generally, the day after isn't horrible. Sometimes it's really good, but this isn't the same scary as if this was a different red candle, like one of these, right? So what am I looking for? I mean, at this point, I think this is the line right here, right? I'm like, come on, move this thing. Let me click right here. Like, look, I'm basically clicking at 50% of this big candle right here. You can see that's essentially what the last 2 wicks tested. This needs to get over 70. If Newegg can get over 70, it should make a move to 86. That's basically another 20% right there. You're adding a little bit more than 14 bucks right there, right? Under 70, it's going to be really difficult, all right? I think like today did, as long as we're still over the moving averages, it is going to be all good. Definitely not a good fall, but even at the lowest point of today's wick, we were still over all 3 moving averages, right? So I'm imagining that's going to start coming up to 55-ish, right? Like, we definitely don't want to go below 55. That's an easy. I think, look, as long as we can hold this 59, that'll be good, right? It's basically 60 if you're looking at the line, right? It's basically 60. So don't lose 60. Everything will be okay. I'm really comfortable all the way down to 55, but yeah, let's not lose 60, all right? And then one more time, you break 70, you're going to come to 86. If 86 breaks, there is actually another mountain of red, 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 green, 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 and the line above that is $130, all right? I don't want to draw that 130 line. No, let's just draw the line. It's fine. We'll attack it as we get there. Look, it's actually at 125, but what I basically saw is this horizontal, looks like it's the peak right there, and it give or take the peak right there, right? So that's essentially the 1-2 on the way up. And again, we cannot go below 55 because if you lose 55, there's actually a decent chance it'll kind of come back down to this 43 because there's a cluster right here of moving averages. This one's starting to catch up, and then you might make it a cluster of 4. And basically, you go from the bottom to the top, to the bottom to the top, to the bottom to the top, to the bottom to the top. If we go back to the bottom, this is now the new bottom right there, right? So, cool. We'll continue on there. The next one, and I think the last one. Hey, real quick, if you've stayed this far, GPUS, keep an eye on this one. Oh, it is actually starting to take off after hours. It was not taking off after hours when I mentioned it. So, I love the close. I didn't even actually care about the after hours. The after hours pop right there. I'm doing some editing and hopefully I didn't mess some stuff up right there, but I love the close. This was a full, take a look at over there. The high of the day was 0.5, the close of the day was 0.5. So not even a single moment of a wick right there, right? We are over 1, 2, 3. We actually just tested it. And if you look, The next line up is at $1 with a whole mess of red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, green, green behind it, right? So GPUS is definitely well worth some eyes right there, okay? Last one I want to take a look at is SOFI, and again, I kind of said everything in the opening thought, so there isn't too much more to say. Today's candle, today's close, all right, we closed at 30 bucks, is the highest close we've ever had, all right? There is a wick right here that went to 30.30, right? 30 cents higher than today's close. It actually looks like we're over it at the moment after hours. You know, after hours don't count, right? But this is the highest close of, so we are technically in all-time highs right now. There are no resistances right here, and yeah, this feels like, and again, I think it might be a little bit insulting to Palantir, which actually has the same setup right here. That thing's ready to take off as well, but we went up, we came back, we came here. There's no crazy doji. I was hoping that there'd be a doji, but we take off, we come flat, we tank, we come back, and then we go, right? SOFI, exact same thing. We take off, we go flat, we tank, we come back to it. This feels like the takeoff right here, right? So, look, let me know your thoughts, let me know your opinions, but at this point on SOFI, it feels like 20% after 20% after 20%, all right? Let me know your thoughts, let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so much.